Hi, it's David. I'm doing a guest spot with Stampin Squirrels for June, and this is appearing in June's Stampin Squirrels craft box. So today we're going to be making a little book which is just over 3 inches square, which contains 4 pages. And the kit I've used for the front and some of the inside pages is the kit that Deb's used in May, which is Everything is Rosy, but use a completely different colour scape, which makes the kit look really different. So it's got 4 small inside pages, really good little book for attaching photos in, a little bit of journaling on the front and back cover, and actually sending instead of a card. So you had a day out with someone or just saying I'm missing you, really good sort of reflection little book there. And here are some of the other samples I made in practicing for this kit. So the great paper, I love this paper for Stampin' Up with the dinosaurs on. And this is using the Floral Essence kit and then some of the DSP inside. So these were the samples, but today we're going to be making, hopefully, something using Everything is Rosy. What you want is a sheet of A4 paper, and because I've got a white background and I'm using Whisper White card, you're not going to see it very well. So what I've done to make life a little easier is drawn out a template on A4 showing all the measurements. So I'll start at the top. So the top, we're measuring down 3.3 1/8 inches and then cutting straight across. And then we're measuring down 6 inches and cutting straight across. So that way you'll have 3 sections of the paper. You'll have a section at the top which is 3 1/8 inch. Then you'll have the middle bit, which I have already cut actually, but into other sections, which is 6 inches deep, and then you'll have a bit left at the bottom. So don't worry about the bit left at the bottom because you're going to come in when we do some stamping later on. So the bit at the top, which is 3 1/8, this is the bit that's going to make the front, back and side spines for the book. So we'll put that to one side for a moment. And the middle section, which we cut as 6 inches, we then cut a 6-inch square. So this is 6 inches by 6 inches. We are going to cut it further later on, but keep it as a 6-inch square for the time being. And then the piece you'll be left with is this piece here, and we're going to cut that into 4 sections. So there's one piece here, you probably can't see the writing because I did change the measurement slightly, but it's 1 1/8 inch wide, still remaining the 3 inches. And then that leaves you a piece at the bottom which we may use as a pocket. And then you've got a piece here which is 1 3/8. And then you have a piece left over here, which we can actually use as a tag for the front of the book. So we'll post these measurements in a bit more detail. So to make the front back spine, we have a sheet of Whisper White. Now what I should do, I think, is probably put a bit of a darker background on it so you can see it. So this is the bit that's going to make front, spine, back, spine, and then the tab at the front. So to score that, I'll leave those measurements there for you. We're going to score it at 3 1/8, 3 5/8, 6 3/4, 7 1/4. Okay, so I have the world's biggest scoring board. So I make quite a lot of books, so I do use quite a big scoring board. So we're going to score this at 3 1/8, 3 5/8, which gives us a 3 1/8 square, ½ inch spine, and then 6 3/4, which gives us another 3 1/8 square, and then 7 1/4, which gives us another ½ inch spine, and then we have a flap left at the front. So to recap, 3 1/8, 3 5/8, 6 3/4, 7 1/4. And then what I do actually, I turn it over and rescore it. And then what we do is we just square it up and then just burnish our edges. So you've measured that at 3 1/8, 3 5/8, 6 3/4, 7 1/4. When you fold it, it will fold into a rectangle with a flap on the front. Now this flap here is what keeps the book shut. And actually it's quite nice to put a bit of a decorative edge on it. So now I have the outside cover of the book made. So what you need to do then is make the inside of it. So if you remember, we have this section here and we've cut it. So I have this section which is my 6 by 6. And then what I've done is, instead of using DSP for every page on the book, I've actually created a background using some of the stamps. And I find it better if you stamp it all as one piece and then cut it into 4 sections. Now I'm not going to bore you with me stamping, so as they say in a notorious BBC programme, here's one I prepared earlier. So this is still 6 by 6, stamped over. And the inks I've used for this, the lighter brown is a soft suede, the darker brown here is early espresso. I've used black for these, what I really like, these all sort of fat ferns. I'll just use a black archival for that. And then I'm not sure it'll really pick up on the camera, but these flowers here, I've used an ink here which is Celestial Copper, and it does have a slight shimmer to it. On here it says it's rich and radiant. I can't guarantee it's either rich or radiant, but it's got really quite a nice shimmer which catches the light. So what I'm going to do now is divide those into quarters. Which then looks something like that. And these become the internal pages. And then to back the internal pages, what I've chosen to use is this wonderful Golden Honey DSP, which I think was part of a celebration catalogue some time ago. But it's fabulous, I love it. It was designed to go, I think, with a honeybee stamp, but it's black and gold on one side and then black and white on the other side. Some really good designs, and this is the design I'm going to use. This is the design I used in my template. And actually I think probably what I should have done is made one with a honeybee stamp as well. And I love this paper. I think it's such a sophisticated looking paper and look great with some cerise on it, I think. But I say this is the one that I'm going to use. And what I've done is I've cut 4 squares of it. And these go, when we put them inside the book, on the back of the pages we've created. Now the DSP paper is slightly smaller, and what I've done is I've cut it 1/8 of an inch smaller. So this is cut by 2 7/8 by 2 7/8, which is 3 inches less an eighth, and that's sometimes easier to remember. And what I quite often say is it's 3 less a bit. So you can see that so there's a gap around it, and then when you mat and layer it, you get a 16th of an inch border all around it. And this is a measurement I use quite a lot for a lot of my books. I always make the pattern paper or the DSP 1/8 of an inch less than the back paper, and that gives me a 16th of an inch gap around it. So what we have now, we have our front cover. We have 4 pages, and then we have 4 sheets of DSP ready to back our pages. And what we need, if we're clever, is some way of attaching the pages into the books. So what we need to do is create a hinge system. Now if you recall, when we cut the paper, we had a section here and a section here, which is 3 by 1 1/8 and 3 by 3/8. Sorry, 1 3/8. So these are the pieces we're going to use to create the internal hinge. So what we need to do on both of these pieces of paper is score 1/2 inch from each edge. Now I always find the easiest way is to score 1/2 inch, turn the page round and score 1/2 inch again. And that way you haven't got to think about what that line is from the start. So you can just turn it around. And the same on this one. 1/2 inch, turn it round, 1/2 inch. Now this might be very difficult to see on camera, but what I have now is a wing, 1/8 inch gully and then a wing. And on this one I've got a wing, 3/8 inch gully and then a wing. And what I need to do is burnish both of those. So I have a larger U shape, which you can see, and then a smaller one. And then what we need to do is put some glue down that flat edge and put it in the middle of the gully on the larger piece. So what we end up with is a piece of paper which is 1/8 inch, and then the tabs, then 1/8 inch in the middle, tabs, and then 1/8 inch. And then I burnish it down even when the glue's in there, not quite dry. And then just burnish it again. And then what I do is make sure all the tabs are standing up. So if you have got any glue that's squeezed out, then when it's drying it won't all stick together. So that gives me 4 hinges that I can attach the 4 pages to. And this here then goes on the inside of the book, and it goes on the first hinge. It's just going to fit very tightly on there. Look pretty amazing. But before I stick it in, what I'm going to do is just take the corners off. Now I use my Stampin Up snips for this, which will and I don't worry too much about the angles, and are they all the same, because actually they pretty much all get covered up in a minute. So this gets stuck into the hinge. Now it's slightly shorter because this is 3 1/8 and this is only 3, so you do have a 1/16 of an inch at the top and the bottom. And then just give it a quick burnish down. So now I have what to all intents and purposes is a book with no page. So it opens up, got my hinge, back hinge, and my tab. So now what you need to do is attach your pages. Now I find it easier to attach the larger pages. These are the ones we printed. Now you can attach them whichever way you want to, but these are the same measurement, the same depth as the hinge. So I'm going to attach mine all so they face the front. But you could have some facing the front and then some further down the book facing the back. But there is one of these per hinge, and it's quite important that you put one per hinge, because actually when you use the DSP is slightly smaller, and then you'll see quite a lot of the hinge. So what you need to do is just put some glue on the hinge. I take the page to the hinge, lay it in, push it down my finger, make sure I'm happy with it, and then plough through the rest of the book. So now I have 4 pages inside my book. And then I will attach the DSP to the back of them. So put glue on the back of the paper, and you can use either side, it really is up to you. And then just centre that on each page. So now I have a little book with 4 pages in it. It's crying out for some decoration. Now if you recall, I have this piece of the Whisper white paper left. And what I've done is I've used it to stamp on. So in another Blue Peter kind of experience, here's some I've stamped and cut out. Now this stamp set does come with a die set as well, but I think for most people who like crafting, there's nothing more enjoyable than sitting in front of the TV and doing a bit of fussy cutting. Now when you're attaching on here, you can use either 3-dimensional or wet glue, but it's quite good if you have some flowers that are stuck onto the main front cover but overlap, so it allows you to catch the front tab. So putting some dimensions around it, some dimensionals on some of the flowers is quite a good idea. So let's jump in and see where this takes us. And then what I might do is just position that so it's almost closed, and then catch it so it tucks underneath, using a few dimensionals of that. And then put one of the ferns coming from underneath that flower. And what I'm going to do is put a bit of wet glue on the top of that, put it underneath the flower, and then just catch it underneath. That should give plenty of space for that to stick. And then I did actually cut a what's what I'm looking for? A sentiment. And I actually used this one from the Floral Essence one. So I thought, with friendly thoughts and best wishes today and every day. And I thought that was actually quite a nice little sentiment. So this is what we've ended up with. So a nicely decorated page on the front, and you really can go as much over the top as you want. The front cover just grabs underneath, and then there's 4 pages for your photos. What I did in my one I made as a sample. Now I do this quite a lot, and I do like a bit of journaling because I think it's quite nice that you can put some journaling in the front, or even a message if you're giving it to somebody. And actually everything is Rosy comes with that little tiny stamp there that says Dear Friend, which I thought was quite nice. Now this wiggle line, I've just created it, and I'm quite happy to do a video on how to do that. But you've got the front and the back inside covers where you can write a message, write a little story, sort of reflect on what happened in relation to the photos or the journal you've put inside. So I will sign off here. I hope it's fairly straightforward. I suspect it's probably not, and actually making 3-dimensional items is probably challenging for lots of us. But jump in, have a go, because at the end of the day, it's as simple as whatever's detailed on this orange sheet. Anyway, it's great spending some time with you. I hope to see you at a Stampin' Squirrels class soon. Keep well, keep safe, and with love.